Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Josh Selo. I'm the Executive Director of West Valley Community Services. We're super excited to have you with us and to share our impact for our strategic plan for the first 6 months of the current fiscal year. We're also excited. We're trying something very new, this technology, new to us at least. So thank you for being our early adopters, shall we say, and giving us an opportunity to share what we've been up to with you over the internet, over Zoom, however you're connecting. Tonight, our plan is severalfold. We're going to welcome you and certainly thank you so much for joining us. And then our agenda tonight is to go over our strategic plan, talk about the timeline, some key takeaways from the strategic plan, key things we're focusing on, some metrics and mid-year goals, what we've accomplished. All of the data I'm going to share with you tonight is through December 2017. We'll also talk a little bit about next steps, what our plan is from here, and we'll be able to answer your questions. Now, a word about questions. We want to be able to participate with all of you tonight. There is a Q&A box in the webinar, so feel free to enter questions, and I will be monitoring it with one of my eyes at least. My goal is to answer all of your questions by the end of the webinar. So if you feel free to pop in there at any point and add your questions to the queue. If you're on Facebook Live or YouTube watching this live now, you certainly can enter your comments in the comment field and we'll populate them in the Q&A box too. And then you can always email tonight development@wvcommunityservices.org and they'll be able to make sure we get the questions too. Now, if you're not watching this live, recordings are available. So hopefully you're watching a recording either on Facebook, YouTube, or on the West Valley Community Services website. And if you have a question tonight, later tonight, or later on this week, month, or year, you can always email me directly at josh@wvcommunityservices.org, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. So we're gonna go ahead and jump in, but first I would be remiss if I didn't thank some key stakeholder groups who made our strategic planning process possible. The first is Sunlight Giving. They provided all the funding for us to do this process, and we're extremely grateful for their support. Without them, we could not have done this. We're also grateful for our stakeholders who participated in several in-person and written surveys to give us information and data that helped inform who we wanted to be with our new strategic plan. And I'll be telling you more about that process in a little bit. And I want to also thank the West Valley Community Services board staff and volunteers. You can't see them from where you're sitting, but I can see them from where I'm sitting, and they make so much possible for us. So we are grateful for all they do to support the agency and the community. Now, one of the first questions I get when I talk about the strategic plan is why? Why a strategic plan? Besides being good practice for a nonprofit to have a strategic plan to provide direction for its agency, there were some other reasons why now is the right time for West Valley Community Services to have a strategic plan. The first, and most of you probably know this, our leadership changed over in January of 2016. I joined the staff then, and a few months later, we had a new development director, Kohinoor, join the staff too. So with 2 of 3 senior leadership positions changing over, it seemed to be a good time to embark on a new strategic plan. We also have a very new board. So when I joined in January 2016, there were 8 board members with 2 terming off within the next 6 months. I'm excited to share, we actually now have 19 board members with great diversity of professions, backgrounds, and skill sets who've made us stronger and also bring their own perspectives to the table. So we thought that would be a good opportunity to engage them and bring them closer into the agency by embarking on a new strategic planning process. Our strategic plan, the one we had, was more than a year old, and we realized we needed to take a new look, especially when you consider there's some significant factors affecting our clients in the community, factors I'm sure you all are aware of: the housing crisis, stagnant wages. Our clients are really struggling more than in recent years. As many people have benefited from the recovery since the recession, our clients' lives have actually gotten worse and much more difficult. And we needed to come up with a concerted, unified focus and an effort to address this rising need in our community. And those are the reasons why we felt now was the right time for us to embark on this strategic plan. Now, as you probably know, you don't wake up one day and say, let's do a strategic plan today. There was a whole process, and I'm going to briefly walk you through the process we went through before I jump into the heart of what came out of that process. So our process began in July of 2016 when we secured the funding from Sunlight Giving, and then when we hired the consultant, her name is Nancy Ragey, to lead us through the process. Together with her, we assembled a group of internal folks to form the planning committee. It was a combination of staff and board members. And we also began to do our stakeholder interviews. So we met with folks at the county, folks in the various cities we work with. We met with volunteers, donors, clients, staff, a whole range of people, asking them a series of questions. What do you know about West Valley Community Services? What do you think about West Valley Community Services? What do they do well? What could they do better? What do you think or wish they were doing in the community? So a lot of information. All that information was put together into a presentation to our board and staff that was delivered in November 2016 at our planning retreat. That retreat was also the opportunity for us to begin to narrow down our vision for the future. We called it Vision 2020. What did we want to be? And then coalesce that into a unified vision that all of our board and staff could stand behind. We worked for several months on bringing that unified vision together into a one document. And then in February 2017, the board approved our official new strategic plan. 1 month later, and some of you may have attended that, we had a presentation to the community in March 2017. So since then, what have we been doing? Well, in the last 3 months of last fiscal year, we spent the time operationalizing our strategic plan. We created this great roadmap for the future of what we wanted to be and what we wanted to do with metrics to measure our steps toward that future, but we didn't yet know how we were going to do that. So operationalization was the next part. Some key takeaways from the strategic plan. Hopefully you're familiar with our new mission statement, which is uniting the community to fight hunger and homelessness. And now we have, for the first time in our history, a vision statement, a community where every person has food on the table and every person has a roof over their head. And we're really excited about both of those things. We include them on all of our literature now. We talk about them with stakeholders and in the community. And it's provide a very succinct, unified vision for this agency moving forward. Another thing that's new to us this year is a new statement of values. West Valley Community Services has been built on a strong set of core values, but we felt it was time that we really write them down and agree on them and begin to share with our community, this is what we believe in. So our core values, which hopefully don't surprise you, are compassion, dignity, integrity, service, and diversity. And we talk about them all the time. It's not just about how we show up for our clients, that's one phase of it, but it's how we show up for each other as employees. It's how we show up with our board, our donors, and in the community. We want those values to infuse every aspect of our work and every aspect of what we do. And then the strategic plan itself was our strategy for the next 3 years. And that strategy was focused on three, I would say, main things: growth, so client growth, donor growth, volunteer growth, partner growth, building greater awareness in the community. We want more people to know about us, more people to be aware of us, and more people to feel good about the impact that their support is making possible in the community. And engagement. So at all levels, engaging with our clients, engaging with our board, engaging with the community, engaging with our donors, sort of engagement writ large. So we use this as our guidepost as we developed our vision for where we were going to be by the time we got to 2020. Now, the strategic plan is built around 21 metrics, and those metrics were originally divided into 4 categories: outreach and advocacy, people, programs and impact, and organizational sustainability. Now, those 4 categories were the direct result of the conversations we had in all of our stakeholder interviews and at the board level. And the challenge for us, as any of you who've done this before know, is 21 metrics is a lot. And once we finished the strategic plan, as happy as we were with it, we were overwhelmed by the scope of what we set for ourselves. So working with one of our board members, we recategorized our 21 metrics and we identified 6 uber goals, 6 main goals. And the vision behind that was, if we could meet these 6 metrics, if we could meet these 6 goals, it would trickle down and affect all 21 of the goals. And part of what this presentation was about was for us to see, was that theory true? And I'll give you a little heads up, that theory does seem to be holding weight. We still have work to do, but we did have this trickle-down effect result by focusing just on 6 to start with. So this was the way we set our strategy for the current fiscal year. All of the staff goals were aligned with the 6 metrics we chose to focus on this year. And what I'm going to walk you through now is each goal individually, the strategy that we implemented, developed by the staff for each goal, and where we currently stand. Now, I'm just going to give you a little caveat. This data is data through December 31st, 2017. So I'm going to pre-invite you back for July of 2018, when I can provide you with full year data. You'll also see it in our annual report, but this is sort of a heads up, our way to see, are we on the right track? Is what we're doing, is our strategy getting us the results that we had intended it would get us? So our 6 goals are as follows. Goal 1, we want to serve 636 new households this year, which is roughly 53 new households per month. Goal 2, we want 80% of our employees to report high satisfaction. And this one was critical because in the wake of the staff transition in 2016, we had a bit of staff turnover, which often happens when your senior leaders change in an organization, especially a small organization like ours. And we knew we had some work to do to rebuild trust and relationships with our employees. And this was our way to measure that. Our goal 3 was a 10% increase in total value of donations from individuals. And this for us is about organizational sustainability. Not just now can we meet our obligations to our clients and our community now, but can we meet our obligations to our clients and our community for years to come, and making sure we have a solid financial footing under us so we can continue to operate in good times and in bad times. Goal number 4, 80% of volunteers report high satisfaction. Those of you who are volunteers on this webinar know that volunteers are critical to our operations. We literally could not do this work without the 150, 160 volunteers a week who come in and do all the things in our pantry and in our office. They do. So we need to ensure that we have that longevity with our volunteers by making sure they feel good about their experience here at the agency. Goal 5 was about advocacy. And what we decided as part of our strategic planning process is we wanted to play a much larger, more prominent role in advocating for and with our clients on things like affordable housing, on things like living wage, on things like anti-payday loans. So all of those things were part of this advocacy. We wanted to lead that effort as part of our vision moving forward. And goal number 6 was 80% of our board members reporting high satisfaction. So you can imagine 19 board members, 13 of whom are new. You want them to feel really good about their experience because they are ambassadors to the community. So this is one of the ways we ensure that our board members feel good about their investment of time, treasure, and talent. So we're gonna start with goal number 1. So as I mentioned, that's 636 new households served, 53 per month. So our strategy was as follows. We created a whole new outreach package and materials and also expanded our outreach area. We leveraged our mobile food pantry and our relationships in the community to build greater awareness. And we also did things like putting magnets on the side of our cars. So when we drive out to do outreach, people can see our name and our logo on the sides of our vehicles. We mapped key areas where we thought our clients would largely be, and then sent our staff out there and aligned their goals with meeting certain outreach targets every month. We had some staff who were really interested in working on expanding our social media and print media presence. So we did work in that area as well. And we developed a client referral program. And that is essentially telling our clients, our current clients, that if you refer an eligible client, an income eligible client who comes to West Valley Community Services and begins receiving service from us, we'll give you a small gift card to Safeway or Trader Joe's, something they can redeem for food or a household item they need. And they would then help someone who wasn't getting services get services. So those are some of the things we decided to try to reach this goal of 636 new households served. So I'm happy to say that as of December 31st, you can see in the yellow bar, we're more than 60% of the way to our goal at 383 households. more than halfway. You can also see our numbers for the last 2 years of new clients, of new households served. This is new households, not new clients. So for 15-16 and 16-17, the numbers are available there. So we feel good. We're on our way to meeting this goal by the end of the current fiscal year. We also know that we've recently had an explosion in certain areas in new clients. We just started outreach to the Moreland School District in San Jose, and in one of our first weeks, we saw 81 new households we've never seen before. So we're very excited about our ability to scale to meet this demand that's growing and believe that the investment we've made in outreach is really beginning to pay off. Moving on to goal 2, 80% of employees report high satisfaction. So for this goal, we assembled a task force of a mixture of staff at different levels to work with their teams and come back to us with recommendations. So that's the first bullet on here, convene an employee experience task force, which is what they did. They prepared an incredibly thorough 8-page report, and they delivered it to the managers. We then convened a mixture of managers and frontline staff to go through the report and identify 4 to 5 strategies that were the most, we thought would be the most impactful, and we heard from the task force would be the most impactful. And those are the 4 you see here. So researching pay in Silicon Valley among nonprofits, researching flexible schedule options, which is essentially our staff wanted the ability, if they could, to avoid traffic. They could lose up to 2 hours of their day just sitting in the car. And if we could offset that some way by allowing them to start earlier or stay later, that would have no financial cost to us as long as it didn't impact our ability to serve our clients. So we did a lot of work researching that. And in fact, we were able to institute a flexible schedule policy, which we now believe is has recruiting potential for us because it's something not a lot of nonprofits can offer. We also looked at employee recognition and developed a formal employee recognition program and clarified decision-making across the staff so every employee knows what they're able to make decisions on and is much clearer on their own authority. We weren't even aware that this was something we weren't successful at. So this allowed us to really examine our own leadership and identify this as an area where we could better serve our staff, and then better serving our staff certainly better serves our clients. So as a result, as of the last survey we did in December, 78% of employees report high satisfaction, so we're very close. I will say we have 1 fewer employee than when we took the survey last year, so maybe we would have been at 80 if that employee was still here. Regardless, we're very happy about it. Just to show you our staff satisfaction. So we were 79% as of last June. We're 78%. We're calling this essentially flat, at least I am. And as far as staff retention, this wasn't one of the metrics I mentioned, but I include this because I think it's important to see our goal for this year was 45% staff retention, and that was up from 38% last year and 20% the year before. We're actually well above that at 64% at the midway mark for the year, and we're very, very happy about that. Morale is very high. People feel really good about what they're doing and feel really empowered to make change and grow and strengthen our programs. So this is good news. For number 3, our goal was a 10% increase in total value of donations from individuals. So this was really about looking at how do we establish that strong financial foundation for now and into the future. And Co&R and our development team worked heavily on this. For them, it was about establishing a formal donor stewardship program, looking at how to promote recurring donations, developing a major gift program. And as I said, our goal was a 10% increase. And actually, we've, at the midway point, reached a 35% increase in total value of donations from individuals year over year, which is pretty awesome. And we're very pleased. I will say we're somewhat concerned, and we're among friends here, given the change in the tax code and sort of unsure about itemized deductions moving into next year. We don't know what donations are going to look like in the future. At the same time, we also don't know what the business cycle is going to look like. So we're trying to use these strategies to develop a relationship with donors so they understand how critical they are to this work that is being done here, that it would not be possible without them. And then it becomes more than a deduction on a tax return, but it becomes about being invested in making change in your community. I'd be interested to hear from you either over the webinar or in person or by email. To what extent do you think we're successful at that? And if you have any other ideas of how we could be better at that, because for me, that's one of my most important goals in this year. Moving on, goal 4, 80% of volunteers reporting high satisfaction. For this, we did a couple of different things. We developed a volunteer mentoring program and a shift lead program. We made some updates to our volunteer orientation process. Those are still in process. And we researched some technology upgrades, including now tech check-in, computer check-in for your volunteer hours. This is an ongoing process. We were excited to see, though, that 80% might be us shooting low because 98% of our volunteers report high satisfaction, and we feel good that they feel so good about the time and energy and focus that they're investing in the work they do here at West Valley and the way they help our clients in the community. So I told you our goal for advocacy was 8 advocacy actions. As of the end of December, we've hit 5. So we're on par with where we ended last fiscal year. You can see 2 years ago, we only had done 1. So we're moving in the right direction. We've established an advocacy committee of our board, which is focusing on developing an advocacy platform. That's part of our strategy, which I included here. Some of our advocacy actions year to date, some of them related to federal funding cuts, related to the Sanctuary City amicus brief. There was meetings with Jim Bell and Evan Lowe, and a bunch of other different items. This is an ongoing list we're keeping, and it's very important to us. We think it's critical that we play a role, not just in serving the crises that our clients face, but in helping make sure that we live in a community where the possibility of crisis in the future goes down. We're still in the process of developing what this looks like. If this is of particular interest to you, please shoot me an email, send an email to development@wvcommunityservices.org. We'll connect you with Sujatha, who's our staff leader on this. It's still in its infancy. We have a lot of work still here to do, but we're excited about the potential this goal has for the future. And our last goal for here was 80% of board members reporting high satisfaction. And for that, we established a governance committee, which hadn't existed before formally, which focuses on how the board operates itself. We've been reviewing all of our onboarding materials and making significant changes to them and updating them. We've making changes to our board meetings that implement, that are based around greater participation of the board members, and making sure we offer opportunities for our board members to network and get to know each other so they feel that they're among a group of peers. You want to create that collegial atmosphere. As a result, again, I think we might have really shot too low. 93% of our board members report high satisfaction. I'd like to say that that's kind of what you want. Maybe we should have shot for 100%. So we're pretty pleased about this one too. We think we're on the right track. So those are our 6. As I said, there are 21. We have a whole scorecard that we've tracked to see where we stand against all 21. If you're interested in finding out more about those 21 and how close we are to hitting those, please feel free to reach out to me at josh.s@wvcommunityservices.org. I'll give you that again at the end. Or development@wvcommunityservices.org. We'd be happy to walk you through where we stand on all 21 of those metrics and maybe the philosophy behind how we chose those 21. For us, the work is just beginning. We're 6 months into the first year of the 3-year strategic plan. Tomorrow, we have a staff retreat. The staff will be looking at each of these goals, analyzing the strategy, and figuring out for the next 4 to 5 months that we have left of this fiscal year, are we still on the right track? Do we need to pivot? Do we need to dig deeper? And what are the implications for next year? Do we need to pivot and choose a different goal? Are we not having the impact we think we have in terms of it trickling down and impacting the other similar goals? So that's what the staff is going to be working on tomorrow morning, and we'll be sharing the results of that with the board at our April board meeting. And then the board will be doing their retreat in July, and they'll be reviewing all 12 months data for all 21 metrics. And then they'll be working with the staff to set goals for the following year, for 2018-2019, that fiscal year. We need to look at all of our metrics. Are our goals appropriate and accurate for the second year of the strategic plan? Do we need to make changes? Were we aggressive enough? Were we too aggressive? We're gonna look at all of those together in our summer retreat, and we'll have more updates after that retreat happens. And then once we have our new metrics and goals, we'll then work with the staff to either extend the strategy we implemented for the first year or change the strategy. And we're totally open to looking at different ways, more innovative ways to reach our goals. We're a learning group of people. And if something's not working, we don't dig deeper and dig our heels in, we try something else. And so for us, it's about constantly analyzing how we're doing what we're doing and making any necessary shifts or changes. We all are rowing the boat in the same direction though, and I think that is the most important part. So now, I don't see any questions in the Q&A box, but I'm gonna invite you again. Feel free to type questions in the Q&A box, and we'll answer them now. You can type them into the field on Facebook Live or YouTube in the comments field, and we'll populate them here. You can also email development@wvcommunityservices.org. Any of those will work if you want to send us questions. I'll also say, in addition to the recording being available on Facebook, YouTube, and on our website, we can also make these slides available to you. So you can send an email either to me, Josh S. at wvcommunityservices.org, or development@wvcommunityservices.org, and we'll send you a PDF of the slides from tonight. So I'm gonna get a little sip of water here and see, do we have any questions? So in the absence of questions, I am going to thank you again for joining us tonight. It's been my pleasure to spend the last 28 minutes with you. Do feel free to get in touch. If you think of anything after you sign off tonight, we are here and we are so grateful for your support. Thank you so much and have a good night.